Hi, Joshua. Hey, Rudy. Can you guys hear me fine? Can you hear me fine? Just gotta make sure. So, everyone, how is everyone doing this fine Sunday? I just want to make sure because I set up. Yesterday, I had issues with the mic and all of this good stuff. So, I just want to make sure before I go any further. I'm gonna probably have to take this laptop back. I just want to make sure that people can hear me. Okay, so it is with deepness, deep sadness, that I have to report to you this sad story of what happened in Connecticut. Kimberly Sullivan has allegedly held her stepson captive for 20 years. The stepson was weighing only 68 pounds. The stepson finally decided to start a fire, allegedly. All this is alleged. But I'm going to bring you video coverage from different news sources. This is tragic. I am so sick of people abusing children. If you don't want no kids, don't have them. This is awful for the mistreatment of kids. And so, if you don't want to have kids, you should not have them. If you're not going to treat them right, you shouldn't take custody. If your husband passes and you don't like his stepkids, give them to a family member. There are so many unanswered questions like, how is this woman able to keep this child held captive for 20 years?
Turned out a Connecticut woman accused of imprisoning her 32-year-old stepson for decades. Police say he started a fire and are desperate to break free. Whit Johnson here with the story. Good morning, Whit.
George, good morning. This is a disturbing story here. Police called it a life of captivity and starvation and abuse. The man told authorities he intentionally started the fire at his home and even collapsed to the ground and wouldn't get up because he wanted the fire department to save him, believing that was his only way out.
This morning, harrowing new details of a 32-year-old man now free after allegedly being held captive for decades. His stepmother taken into custody.
This is the worst treatment of humanity that I've ever witnessed.
Last month, authorities in Waterbury, Connecticut, responding to reports of an active fire at 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan's home, making an alarming discovery.
Here's an adult that was 5'9" and 68 pounds.
According to new court documents, officers came into contact with a man who was extremely emaciated. He told officers he intentionally started the fire in his room on the second floor using a lighter, hand sanitizer, and paper because he wanted his freedom.
There's some physical evidence that was seized from the house that does corroborate the fact that that room did have exterior locks on it.
Sullivan appearing in court Thursday, now out on bail, facing multiple charges, including unlawful restraint, reckless endangerment, assault, and kidnapping. The accuser recounting details of his alleged captivity to authorities, saying he had not bathed in over a year. He was let outside for mere minutes a day, and his diet reduced to 2 sandwiches a day. When asked if he was hungry every day, he stated, "All day, every day, my entire life."
That is an awfully long time for no one to have information about what happened to this young man and why he was out of sight and ultimately became out of mind.
And Sullivan's attorney says she denies all allegations and suggested it was the biological father who dictated how his son was raised. He died last year. According to court documents, the Department of Children and Families did visit the home on a couple of occasions, but those visits stopped years ago after the boy was pulled out of school, guys.
What a horrible story.
Yeah, sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, it was an act of desperation
Yeah.
to get out of that house.
All right, Whit. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Turn now to the Connecticut woman accused of imprisoning her 32-year-old stepson for decades. Police say he started a fire and is desperate to break free. Whit Johnson here with the story. Good morning, Whit.
George, good morning.
This is awful. This is awful. For 20 years, this child only weighed. The child only weighed 68 pounds. Where they do this at? Then the woman was allowed on bail. On bail, she was allowed to be released on bail for holding somebody captive. He says for 20 years. It doesn't matter if it was a day. A 32-year-old boy weighing 68 pounds. Like, this is awful. Awful. So here's something else. This is so sad. So sad. want to know what human beings, what type of human beings would do this to a child. I am getting so sick and tired of people doing all kinds of damage to children. Sick of this. This is heartbreaking. This is sad. When you have some couples out there that's doing everything that they can do in their power to have children. Some people wish that they could become parents and would give the child the love and the love that they need. I am getting so sick of this, hearing about parents leaving their kids at home to go do crazy stuff on a loan. And, you know, if you don't think that you could be a parent, you know, I don't know what to say, but the mistreatment of kids have got to stop. This has got to stop. Hold on, y'all. This is awful. It's terrible. I don't know if, you know, do we have any solutions?
p.m. Waterbury Fire, Waterbury Police responded to 2 Blake Street on a report of a fire. Officers and fire investigators immediately realized there were some grave concerns about some of the conditions in the house. There were 2 occupants of the house, one being Kimberly Sullivan, the stepmother of the male victim. Officers and fire investigators quickly realized that there was a room in the house that appeared to have locks on it from the exterior portion of the house. They began to speak to the male victim, who disclosed that he was being held captive in the house for an extended period of time, approximately 20 years. Here's an adult that was 5'9" and 68 pounds. Frankly, what was being reported was unfathomable to us at that point in time. This investigation, as the mayor points out, continues, is very open, very active. We were able to obtain arrest warrants for Kimberly Sullivan. She was arrested yesterday. She was arraigned in Waterbury Superior Court. She's currently being held on a $300,000 bond.
Hey, Pan. So again, hey, Pan, how are you doing? I was reporting on this horrific story that ABC News reported on this story 3 days ago, along with People.com, BBC. And this is awful. This is awful. She lives in Waterbury, Connecticut, and allegedly she is accused of holding her stepson captive for 20 years and providing little water and little food. The young man reports that he only was fed sandwiches. Now, allegedly, I guess the biological father just died last year in the treatment that works. So if he says for 20 years he has been held captive, how did this boy get missing under the radar? I want to know why she received bail for keeping somebody hostage for 20 years. Again, this is April Showers. I would like to thank you for joining me for this show, reporting on all of the evil demonic spirits that are moving around in the world. If you love your family and relatives, you ain't got to be nosy, but I just really need to know how come knew nobody knew for 20 years that this boy was being held against his will. The boy says since he was 11 years old, 12 years old. Some outlets are saying 11, some are saying 12. This is awful. This is awful. And then this lady was given bail. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. This is April Showers. Thank you for joining me for this show.